Welcome, everyone, to All Women Driven, the podcast about women in automotive and how they got to where they are today. Um, you can find me on YouTube, Instagram, or Spotify. I'm working on getting my podcasts in other places soon. Hopefully, we get to other places. Don't forget to share where you're listening. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you know when I post my next podcast every 2 weeks on Thursdays about 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. So if you like my channel, you should also check out the Law MacArthur channel. They have all things Ford, news information, scheduling notes, all things Ford. Come and ask us questions. We answer them live. Ford Video Guy is a blog about how Tim has put together his Bronco, Maverick, and Mach-E and what he's doing next. Along with that, we have RagnarCon. All Terrain Nation is a wonderful supporter. I think if you are a viewer of their channel, you'll recognize our guests today, and Johnny's Car Care and Reviews. So
we're good.
I did.
We got
this week's guest, Aly Dubois. So what do you do?
I do everything. So I'm actually a salesperson at Brighton Ford in Brighton, Michigan. Started August of 2015. So I'm actually, this is going to be my 10th year this year.
Okay. Yeah, I graduated 2015.
Thank you for making me feel old. Thank you for that.
We have a lady here that has worked here since I was 9.
Oh.
And I'm like, I've known you since I was 9. And our kids
I've known
are
you like my whole life.
Right. So like our kids are just 4 months apart in age.
Oh, that's so fun though.
Yes. So I'm just like, I've known you since I was 9. So, and she's like, stop it.
Like, knock it off. Not cool.
I'm like, I date everyone in this building.
That's so funny.
So that's your full time. What do you do on the side?
I'm obsessed with everything Bronco.
Yes.
Literally eat, sleep, breathe, everything Bronco. So on the side, I help run Michigan Bronco Club.
Mm-hmm.
I try and do social media as best as I can. I have an Instagram and kind of a YouTube. I'm not very active on my YouTube. I am trying. I have a husky that goes with me on all of my adventures. I co-host with Dave and Kelly on their channel, All Terrain Nation. I also do social media for Bronco Driver Magazine.
Okay.
What don't I do with Bronco?
Right. That's a lot.
It is.
You are busy.
I love it, though. Yes, I am. I don't have very much downtime, but I also feel like when I do have downtime, I don't know what to do with that downtime. So,
yes,
it's a give and take.
Now, every week I've brought this up. Is it really a job if you love what you do?
That's the thing. Like, it doesn't feel like work half the time. Like, yeah, there's stresses with, like, everything, but, like, I love doing it. Like, there's nothing I, like, won't do to, like, make an event go well, help someone out, like, do whatever. But it's like, I just love doing it. So it's like, I love it.
Okay. So now you're at Brighton Ford in Michigan.
In Michigan.
How did you get there?
Funny story about that. I applied to be a receptionist. I actually worked for Rusty Wallace Racing Experience prior. Okay. I didn't want to do the traveling. It was just a lot. My dad was watching my dog, which he basically treated her like his grand. Like, it wasn't really watching. But I applied to be a receptionist, and one of my managers was like, hey, like, we think you'd be great in sales. And I looked at him, I'm like, you're crazy. I'm like, not in my exact words, but we'll keep it clean. Like, no, like, sales intimidates the crap out of me. It still does. Like, I am very much a people pleaser. And we all know how the car industry is. We know some people's perception on sales and everything like that. So I've definitely tried to be very transparent and like
Mhm.
very like no questions asked, here you go. Um but it's something I gave a shot and it's worked out for almost 10 years. And it's funny because when Bronco was rumored to come back, Ford reached out and told like all the stores like, hey, you're going to have a Bronco specialist. So my general manager pulled me into his office. And of course, like you go into his office, it's like, okay, I either really messed something up or like I'm getting fired. Like it's one of the
Right.
two. Which he's not really like that. That's just where an anxious mind goes.
I promise you, my mind does the same thing every time, and it's
Yeah,
usually like, "Hey, so I need you to do this." Oh, okay.
yeah. I mean, and it's normally nothing. It's normally not that big of a deal. And like, I
Mhm.
help all of his kids like with their cars and stuff. So normally I'm pulled into that. And
Mhm.
it's one of those things that like he could be giving me an award, and I'm like, cool, I'm getting fired. Like cool. That's just I don't know. I'm dramatic, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, but he like pulled me into his office and he's like, hey, you're gonna be our Bronco specialist. And I'm like, great, Ford made a Jeep. I'm like, I don't really know like what to expect, what to do. So I started doing my research because I wasn't an early gen owner at all.
Mhm.
So like I knew about Bronco. I knew about a little bit just because the rumor has been going around for gosh years now that Bronco
Mhm.
was coming back. And started doing my research and I realized a lot of the customers were going to be a lot more educated when it came to some of the stuff not being from the off-road community. So I just kind of put my head down and studied and realized what I actually got myself into. Um,
Mhm.
but it was funny because like before all of this, I was actually gonna leave.
Really?
Yeah. Because again, sales are hard. Like it's a very stressful life. And especially like when you work on commission, like your pay fluctuates, and let's face it, like
Yeah.
some years are great, some are not so great. And it's like I just kind of wanted a steadier life,
Yeah.
basically. Not so like not to have such a crazy like work schedule, but like pay be like steady, everything.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, Bronco kept me in it now. I think we're on 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah.
So I mean, love it. Love that I
Yeah.
stayed because I definitely would have missed out on a lot. Like
Right?
life would be
Because
so
now
much
it's
different.
expanded for you.
Yeah, into like everything.
Right.
So it's been
Yeah.
really cool.
So, do you have a history in automotive
No.
besides, the jobs, family history, or anything like that?
Well, my grandpa worked for GM growing up.
Okay.
Because of course, being in Michigan, you support 3 companies: GM, Ford, or Chrysler. Well, Chrysler, Stellantis, whatever you want to call them now.
Right.
Those are the 3 you support. Which is funny being on Dave and Kelly's show. Like, he's really trying to like get me to look at other brands, and I'm like, you don't get it. I'm like, in Michigan, we don't really see the competition with Toyota, with Honda, with I don't know,
Right.
any foreign cars. Like you just don't we don't see it. We don't need it.
Right. Well,
So
I guess if you have three major manufacturers in one city, most likely a lot of people are factory workers.
exactly. And it's
They are
like,
workers of the industry, and so they get discounts
mm-hmm.
on those.
That's the biggest thing. Like even working at a Ford dealer, um, not so much like Chrysler, but it's always GM or Ford. And if
Mhm.
you're switching from like if you're a diehard Ford person, like you must have had like 20 really bad experiences to go to GM or vice versa. Because, like,
Mhm.
normally, even if there's issues, they will, like, stick it through and through, like, with that manufacturer because of the discounts, because their families work there for their entire life. Like, it's just
Yeah.
kind of your diehard for that company.
Right. So you weren't really. Are you diehard Ford now?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm the same way. Like, so what would you drive?
Ford.
Nothing. Or
Nothing. Because I also think it comes down to the knowledge of the vehicle. Like Ford's
yeah.
safety features does not match the competitors.
Mhm.
And our looks may be a little outdated depending on the model year of like how long we've had something specifically. But like safety and technology will always be like the first thing they focus
Yeah.
on. So it's like I don't care how it looks as long as I'm safe and it's reliable.
Right.
That's all I care about.
Yeah. So, you were kind of thrust into this.
Yeah.
Like, hey, no, we don't want you as a receptionist. You're doing sales.
Uh-huh.
Um, was it hard at first, or did you run into roadblocks with customers or anything?
Um, yeah, it's nerve-wracking. I will say I know it's very different for you guys, for like plan pricing. Just the amount that you see. The thing that they really kind of reiterated and like made me feel good about was 90 to like 95% of our business is plan pricing.
Mhm.
We don't typically have too many people that come off the street that are like, no, I don't I don't know anyone that works at Ford. It's like, do you have a Facebook? Like the post a
Right.
status? Like I guarantee you know someone who works at Ford or with being in Michigan, you're a Ford partner. Like if you work
Mm.
at McDonald's, you're a Ford partner. Like
Okay.
if you work at St. Joe's, which is I think it's now part of Trinity's healthcare. Like you're a Ford partner. If you work
Okay.
at University of Michigan, you're a Ford partner. Like most people don't even know they're a Ford partner before anything. So that part made it really nice because it's like, hey, I get to show you your discount price, plus I get to show you your rebate. So like I can have played like the good guy card because like it doesn't
Mhm.
cost us to give you a rebate. So it's like if
Right.
I'm showing you money, like here you go. So it was
Yeah.
nerve wracking at first, but it definitely made it easier being in Michigan, I think.
Mhm.
Because I know it's different when you don't have the plants or you don't have headquarters or anything
Yeah.
like that. I know it can be a little bit different.
Well, and I mean, my experience is Law MacArthur, and we do so much out of state. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
30 to 40% of our sales are out of state. We are not your average dealer either.
So,
Um, so for me, I don't get to see the average dealer, you know, and what they go through.
yeah.
Um, but what do you find that you have more Bronco people than other, or are you guys
Um,
seeing a lot of Maverick?
we don't see. I mean, we do see a lot of Maverick. I do a lot of like when we get leads, I will typically get like first dibs on for sure Bronco. Like today I'm off.
Right.
And I had a call from my manager, and he's like, "Hey, we're selling a Bronco right now. I need all these questions answered because like they didn't know them." So I'm just like, hand the phone over. Like I'll just talk to the guy. And it was funny. He's like, I can hear him because he's like handing the phone over, and he's like, "Hey, we got our Bronco specialist. She knows everything. Like seriously, she's gonna be more helpful than I even try to fumble my way through this." And like hands over the phone. So funny. And like that's the thing. It's just like for me, it's always been F-150 and Bronco. Like those are the ones like I'm really, really good at, and I can help you with like
Mhm.
whatever.
Hey, if you're good at F-150, you got it. Like,
I, I mean, that's the thing.
I
They
applaud you.
they can be complicated though. That's the thing.
Yes, they can be.
And the ones I like won't do is transit.
Oh
No
no,
way. I
never transit.
hate transit. And not because like I don't mind the car itself. There's over 100 different ways you can configure it, and the minute you get it wrong, is the
Yes.
minute someone's gonna be like, well, you don't know what you're talking about. And because I'm a woman in this industry, they're gonna be like, oh, well, like, I want a man to talk to. It's like, okay, buddy,
Yeah.
you
I'm
do
like, do you
you.
know how many times I hear this a day? Let's keep this civil. Um,
Exactly.
I don't know this answer, but hold on. let me
Yeah, and
get the answer.
I love the, hey, I don't know it, let's find out together. Some of the guys still don't even
Yeah.
go to that at all.
My favorite is when I do know the product question and they're like trying to test me and I'm just like, "Yep, I do know that." And I like start rambling with them and they're like, "Okay, you got this. You got
Uh-huh.
me. I'm just messing with you." I'm
I
like,
love that. I've
"Stop."
had that happen before once, and the guy still got upset and still wanted to work with another guy, and I'm just like, I don't mind. I'm like, I used to take it personally,
Mhm.
but now I'm just you move on to the next person. It's
Oh
no
yeah.
big deal.
Yeah, I completely get that. So with the Bronco, you didn't know Bronco going into it, but how did you feel going into the community, the off-road community?
That's what got me hooked. So when the Bronco specialist got to go to Texas for the first time, um, I don't remember exactly how it went. Because my manager basically was like, "Hey, you're going." I'm like, "Done, cool. I get to go to Texas. Don't care." Um, get to Texas. There's one other girl from a dealership, and her name's Sarah, and she's from North Carolina. Oh my god, seriously, funniest family ever. Love them. Still Facebook friends with them. They're great. Um, but I'm looking around. There's no other girls. So not
Mhm.
only have I never off-roaded before, I couldn't tell you what a rear locker was. I couldn't tell you what sway bar disconnect was.
Mhm.
I can't tell you anything. I can't tell you approach angles, departure angles, nothing. So I'm sitting there and I'm just like, okay. Not only am I surrounded by all dudes, I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm going to be your typical girl who gets stuck. And I'm going to need someone to rescue me, basically. So I go into it super anxious, then not wanting to be there. I see the Broncos and I'm like, okay, these are really cool. But I'm like, I want to go home now.
Yeah.
And we got split up into groups. I ended up getting Mike Clouds, who is the site director for Texas.
Okay.
And I was the only one from my dealership. So I was in his group and he's like, hey, I'm going to ride with you. You're going to be lead. And I'm like, oh, okay, great. Again,
Right.
anxiety just super high. I was giggling the whole time. I just thought it was the coolest experience, and
Yeah.
that whole day is what got me hooked on Bronco and the community, because it's he was he's been involved in my Bronco world since day one, basically.
Yeah.
Um and I blame him for being hooked on it. I'm like, if it wasn't for you, I probably would still be back in my F-150. Come on.
Right.
But no, that's what got me hooked on all of it. And that's why one of the things I preach to everybody is off-rodeo.
Mhm.
Because I know how much I'm not saying you have to do what I do and take the bull by the horns and dive to where this is your whole life. But
after you drive it and go to off-rodeo, you're going to want to.
you're gonna love it. And I get it. It's not for everybody, but I can promise you, you're gonna get hooked either with the community or off-roading itself.
Yeah.
So it's just been really cool to kind of watch it evolve.
Yeah.
Because again, Ford makes it possible with off-rodeo, because they want you to learn.
Yeah.
They're not saying everyone has to off-road on the weekends. It can be a mall crawler.
Yeah.
You can take it to Starbucks every day. You do you. But
Right.
I think that's the really fun part, is just seeing people evolve and watching them get involved in this, because I know it's changed my life in
Right.
so many
Yeah.
different ways. It's weird to think a car could do that, but it did.
Well, and my life has changed since my dad got his Bronco and took me to Supercell, and then I went to off rodeo, which Tim and I were giggling the entire time at off rodeo because he's been at that point he had been to all the locations
I'm
except
still
Tennessee,
so
and they had
jealous that he's been able to do all of them.
well his thing is he's gone to mostly dealer days,
Mm-hmm.
the half days, so he's done all of that. He went to Texas when they
Mhm.
did the initial one. Um, but we're sitting there and we're in the Bronco Sport, and I was taught by Melissa in Colorado.
Oh,
And
fun.
so, they're telling you, okay, so now we're gonna do this, and now we're gonna do this, and I'm like, doesn't this have a front camera? And he goes, yeah, you engage it by doing this. I'm like, okay, great, let's do that so I can see my approach angles. And then next thing I know, like maybe 5 minutes later, like, okay, so now we're gonna turn on that front camera, and we're just like laughing, like
Beat you
we
to it.
already we've had that on for 5 minutes.
That's so funny.
Meanwhile, the car ahead of us, you can clearly tell that these guys have not been off roading. And most likely, I was like, I think they drive trucks. I almost guarantee you they drive a truck, a Super Duty or an F-150, because they were like taking this Bronco Sport because they were told, make sure you're, going around the rocks, not going over, and
Yeah.
they were going like off trail and coming back in and off and on, and like, I'm like, are we weaving here?
That's it. Well,
Are
and
you?
it's so
And
funny
then
because the guys that like I was with, they were talking a huge game the whole time. The one who said that he has a Jeep and he's been off-roading since he was like 16, he's the one that got stuck. Because he
right.
wasn't the one that was listening.
Yeah, but then these guys are like, I'm like, follow the line of the car ahead of you. You don't need to go off trail. In fact, they told you not to. But then on the way back, they're taking their turns at like the widest angle. And I'm just like, they have to drive trucks.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we get back and they both jump in. One jumps into a Heritage F-150. The other guy jumps into a lifted up Super Duty.
Called
I'm
it.
like, so called this. But like when I went to the dealer day, there was no other females there. I was the only female. And luckily I had my dad there who was, I had driven with before,
Yeah.
and I had experience in the Bronco world. And so I could be like, hey, I'm your tail gunner. I got you. Um, I know how this works. And they were surprised. And I'm just like, we got this. But the trail guides are amazing, even though some of the
Amazing.
dealer guys were not the nicest and very standoffish and like, get away from me.
I
The
have that.
the actual instructors were phenomenal.
They're
And
family now. That's the
yeah,
thing.
I feel like if you truly know who's part of the off-road community and who's talking big game, because the off-road community is so friendly.
And so helpful. Like,
Yeah.
they don't want to like correct you and like insult you. They'll just
Yes.
give you advice of like, hey, next time, try this.
Yeah.
Like, it's never to like talk down to. And
Mhm.
I think that's one of the reasons I'm like one of the biggest preachers for off rodeo. I've been to Texas and Tennessee. Those are the only two that I've gone to. Hands down, both teams absolutely phenomenal. Like,
Yeah.
I'm so excited for Supercell to go because now that I have my new Bronco, I do have another pass. But I
Yes.
really do need to like go to Utah or Vegas or something. like
Yes.
like I know I got to go down to one of those, but I know that I'll go down to Tennessee and like see a couple.
I think Melissa's still at Utah.
I think she is too.
You can ask her what day she's going to be there and plan it to be there when she's there.
I know because I have to message Ranger Rick. He was like one of the first ones I met at Off Rodeo. And we've stayed like Instagram friends and like we've chatted, and I got to finally see him again in Colorado for
Mhm.
Supercell. And I was like telling him because like the day I left for Supercell is the day my 24 Bronco got dropped off. And like I know being in Michigan, I am very fortunate to like run into Ford people, and like I know a lot of people on the Bronco team. I know a lot of people that work at the plant that are like higher ups. So they were like keeping it safe, like tucked away
Yeah.
in a corner. Like it was personally stop shift because I didn't
Right?
know what I wanted to do. Like I didn't know if I wanted to buy Bucky out, which is my first Bronco, or did I want to upgrade my Badlands to get the 24. And my manager calls me as I'm like sitting on the plane and like it's departing, like we are rolling back. And my manager calls and he goes, "Hey, your Bronco's here." I'm like, "No, it's not." And he's like, I'm looking at an azure gray Bronco." I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, I'm taking off. I'll call you in Colorado. I pull up the computer on our VinView system and it says final delivered. And I'm just like, oh no. So like that whole weekend, I was like, okay, what do I do? Like, do I go with the new one? Do I keep
Yeah.
Bucky? And the Bronco Nation team, they're like, well, you get another off-rodeo pass, just get the new Bronco. I'm like, good point. That'll be the selling feature. We're good. Like, I'll
Yeah.
get the new one. So it was really funny. So
We've talked to my grandma because we're like, okay, so you need something besides your van. Let's get you into a Bronco Sport, and then you and I can go to Bronco Off Rodeo.
see, it's
Like,
a great little bonding trip y'all can do.
yeah.
I had just husband and wife get one, and they
Hmm.
love to travel. And I'm like, y'all, you got to go to Tennessee or Texas. I'm like, they will hook you up. Like,
Oh
go
yeah.
there. 'Cause, like, that's where I know the most people. So I'm like, I know I can text one person at each saying, hey, I have a couple coming down. Like, you know what to do. Like, just
Yeah.
take care of them, and they will. So
Yeah.
that's what I also love, just because, like, I've gotten so many pictures from either, like, Tennessee or Texas, um, of, like, my customers going down there and, like, taking
Yeah.
group selfies and, like, sending them to me. But then I get, like, major FOMO because it's like, well, I want to be down there. Like, I
Have you
want to
had
go back.
any? Have you had any go up to New Hampshire?
I've had a handful go up to New Hampshire. I just don't know that many people up there. Like,
There.
personally know them.
So Ridgeview, our moderator, is up there.
Really?
Yeah, he's in Maine, and he's about 2 hours from Off Rodeo.
Oh, that's so fun. I'm so jealous. I
That's
mean,
where we went.
technically now everyone's like 90% of like the Bronco owners are 500 miles from an off rodeo.
No,
Most of them. 90%.
based off statistics, sure.
Yes.
Um, I know a lot of Broncos here in Kansas that are not within one. Um,
We're getting
Tim and
closer.
I have Tim and I have some words about that. Go over to the Law MacArthur channel. We rant about it like once or twice.
We'll rant about it at Supercell.
There you go. So you're gonna be at Tennessee. Are you gonna be at Colorado?
Most likely. It does depend on what's going on with Maya.
Yeah, I want to try and get my boys up there. And
Yes,
maybe
that'd be
do
so fun.
a vacation. We wouldn't be able to do off roading because I can't borrow a Bronco. Um,
I
but
mean, stay tuned on that. No, for
um,
real.
but like I want to go and do the like the show and shine and hang out and see people afterwards. My husband's also not a big off roader.
Yeah.
He's afraid of heights, so
Ooh, yeah. I
it's a
mean,
whole
I
thing.
didn't love the heights. It's
I
pretty
love
incredible.
Colorado. Colorado has a special place in my heart. I've been going there since I was a kid
I'm
with my
hooked now. That was my
grandparents.
first time this year, and I'm
Like
sold.
my uncle used to live up there, so my grandparents would go every year and they would
Yeah,
take my sister and I camping. And so I remember going up camping, hiking, going on those trails, just having fun. And so Colorado has a special place in my heart, and it even more so because it was the first place I went off-roading and I found a passion for it.
that's awesome.
So is there a lot of places to go off-roading near you?
We just have like 2-track trails and stuff.
Okay.
Like we have a few. It's not like anything crazy. Um, we do have a ORV park. Actually 20 minutes from me now. It was like over an
Okay.
hour away from it. But we do a lot of events there.
Okay.
But we have so much Ford history in
Yeah.
Michigan, so like a lot of our stuff is also kind of like around that.
Okay.
So I think it's really cool because like I'm a like nerd when it comes to like car history. Like not your average girl when it comes to
Yeah.
the car stuff. But like I love seeing like how it came about, like how it's changed over the years. Because what I do love is when you have like a 2-door first gen Bronco to our 2-gen, our 2-door
6 gen.
6-gen Bronco,
Yeah.
and like how many similarities there are. So in Michigan, we have Jeff's Bronco Graveyard, which is run by
Okay.
Jeff Krapp. They make parts for the early gen Broncos, because let's face it,
Okay.
they were out of production for quite a while. So after so long, they don't make parts for them anymore.
Yeah.
But he does. So he was actually on, I think, like the team that helped like bring it back.
Mhm.
Because they had like an enthusiast panel,
Okay.
and he was on it. So he picks our dealership to get his two-door dropped off to us. And I get a phone call like on my desk phone, and he goes, "Hey, I hear you're the Bronco girl." I'm like, yeah, like I'm taking orders on them. I'm like, do you want to make an appointment? Do you want it all online? Like, you tell me what's easier for you. He goes, "No, I'm placing my order through you." I'm like, I know. Do you want to come in, or do you want to do everything over the phone? And like, I didn't know there was like a VIP program. Like, again, first time I've dealt with anything like this before. Come to find out, yes, he's very well aware like what the Bronco is and all of this stuff. And he actually bought a two-door blue, I don't remember if it was a 66 or 67. Um Back when our dealership was called Wilson Ford. It's
Okay.
kind of changed ownerships like through the years. But he actually brought that one up and parked his 6th gen like right next to it, and me and him have a picture together.
Oh, that's
In
fun.
both of the Broncos, but it's really cool to see the similarities of like what they
Yes.
brought from the early gens like over to 6th gen. So I think it's really cool.
Yeah. So what do you do with Bronco Driver Mag?
Uh, I run all their social media accounts now. So when you guys are
Okay.
like messaging them on Instagram or Facebook, how
It's
are you?
you?
It's so funny because like I'll tell people, like especially like when they're my friends and stuff, I'm like, why don't you just ask me? Because I'm like, I'm responding to you anyway. And they're like, I didn't know that's what you did. I'm like, yeah. So like I do the pictures, the announcements, teasers, things like
Yeah.
that.
Do you
Um,
write articles?
no. I'm
No.
not, I don't think I'm a good writer. We'll leave that to Tom and Donna, which
Okay.
they're amazing humans. I love them both dearly.
Yeah.
Because I don't even remember how all of this got started. I I copied Tom's schedule for Michigan Bronco Club, which this year I'm vice president for running that.
Mhm.
And it was a lot of people's first time last year, and I'm like, "Hey, here's the schedule. If you have questions, like reach out to me." And it was a simple little, I made it on Canva. I literally just copy and pasted it over and like made it cute with Broncos. That is all I did. And Tom's like, "Hey, can we talk?" I'm like, "Sure." He's like, "Can you help run my socials?" And I'm like, don't you want to like hire a professional for that? Like, I'm new to like all of this, and we've just had a really great working relation, and like I
Yeah.
just kept with it. I'm just like, okay. And he flew me out to Supercell so I could help cover that for him and like get everything. And
Yeah.
just the engagement is up because like with the times you have to change, you have to evolve. They were
Yeah.
using someone that they couldn't use anymore, but it wasn't constant. Like it was,
Mm.
they would post during the event and that was it. But like
Hmm.
as we know, socials have to be like weekly or monthly or anything to like keep
Yes.
people involved. So it's been,
Consistency.
I know it's been really fun. I've got to meet so many people because of it. Like
Mhm.
I got to meet Wayne Schmeckel
Yeah.
out in Colorado, who has all of the Strop Broncos, which that was a hilarious story. So met him on one of the drives, Mosquito Pass, and I knew, but I didn't know that Strap was coming out. I knew it as the oats package because again, when you have friends that like you hear rumors, you see test mules, like again, you see
Yeah.
things in Michigan that a lot of people don't get to see. And I knew of the Strap Bronco because of Jeff's Bronco Graveyard, like he has one. And
Yes.
I knew the history, I knew everything. So like I went up and I complimented Wayne. I'm like, hey, he had a Raptor painted like a strap. I'm like, it's identical because like he has his
Yeah.
Raptor that's code orange and
Yeah.
I knew the paint was code orange on the one coming out. And I'm just like, wow. I'm like, he did a really good job on this. Like, he must not. And like, he didn't know. Like, I've asked him. I'm like, are you sure you didn't have like a hint? He's like, no. He's like, they did approach him though,
Mhm.
while making it. This is after, like, he already had the raptor painted and whatever.
Yeah.
Um, about the strap and things like that, because he has like, have you seen his collection?
Yeah, I've seen Tim's pictures. I didn't get to go.
It's you have he'll give you a tour whenever he is like more than happy to give tours whenever.
Tim took Jeff. I got to stay home with kids.
Aw.
Which no, that was not the weekend. But it was the last weekend we got to see my in-laws before they
Oh,
got
really?
admitted to the hospital.
Oh, yeah. Well, you gotta spend time with family.
Yes.
So like I had complimented him. I'm like, hey, like great Raptor, like the strap like is great for like a good rendition of like what this was.
Yeah.
And he's like, he was like, we got to talking, super nice guy. He's like, hey, great talking to you. We'll talk to you after the trail drive. I'm like, okay. We get done and he like pulls up to the Bronco that I was in. And he goes, hey, do you want to come down, like come in town and come see all the Broncos that I have? And I'm like, sure, why not? Like I went back, told Tom who I met, whatever. Tom knew who I was with. So I'm like, okay, Tom at least knows, because like I don't know anyone out there really. I knew like 4 or 5 people. That was it. And like, because
Right.
there's a bunch of people like you talk to on Instagram and things like that,
Yeah.
but like you don't know them type of a
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
So he gives me an address. I run home to the house, change, go to the address that he sent. So here I'm thinking like we're just going into town. Nope, we got on a plane to go further into Colorado. And I'm just like, what did I just do? I'm like, this is how kidnapping happens. Like I totally know now.
This is how those movies go where, they hop on a plane and crazy stuff happens and, next
Exactly.
thing I know, I'm knocked out and I'm waking up
I
somewhere
don't know
weird.
what to do. And we go to it because he was also with Felipe, who have
Okay.
you heard the story of the Crush Orange Bronco?
Yes.
Or no, Orange Crush Bronco, not Crush Orange.
Yeah.
It's a day. So I knew of him. He was also on this plane with some of his friends.
Okay.
And it's like I was sitting next to him and we're like going around introducing each other and stuff like that. And he's like, I'm Felipe. I'm like, you're Felipe? I'm like, I have so many questions for you. And his Bronco is absolutely gorgeous for what he did for a $20 ticket to win that thing. And we go to Wayne's garage and he opens the door. I think all of our jaws hit the concrete. Like, it is absolutely incredible of all of the straps that he has. He even has like the hauler that Willie used for it.
Yeah.
And it's just really cool kind of seeing it like all come to like real life, to like what this strap is and everything.
Yeah.
But that just goes into the community.
Mm-hmm.
Like how nice everyone is and like how genuine everyone is. Like I'm sure there's a few rotten eggs in every group. There are. But everyone on my Bronco journey specifically has been so absolutely incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like if I didn't work for a dealer,
Yeah.
if I didn't get involved with the Bronco lineup, the Bronco specialist, like I don't even know what my life would be like, to be honest.
I get that. Did you meet Derek Stitham, our salesman that was at Supercell?
He has the Outer Banks, right?
Yeah.
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 Because he has the Broncos Bronco.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. He actually moved over to finance, and I'm like, I'm so sad because now our Bronco customers don't have the really nice, into the Bronco community person anymore because he's into the Bronco community. Yeah. We don't have another guy like that out here.
And that's the thing, like.
But I also know you need to further your career and do things for you.
Way to make this like logic.
But
But I
we're
mean,
still really sad that we lost a wonderful salesman to finance. But now we have a wonderful financer to take over my father-in-law's spot.
there you go.
But as we're wrapping this up, who or what inspires you in automotive? Like women or a woman in automotive or someone that you've worked with in automotive that inspires
Um,
you?
there's been a handful that I've met that just like a lot work for. I don't know if I can say they're pretty high up at Ford. um, and just to see like how they handle themselves and like stressful situations. Because like, let's face it, the last 4 years in automotive,
Oh, so social. Yeah.
it's like salt in the wound. It's been a little crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Just seeing how they've been able to like handle some of these situations, like when we have to reach out for like help and things like that, like it's really cool to kind of see and
Mm-hmm.
do. And like if I could do everything over again, I would probably go to college like for engineering or something, because not realizing how obsessed I am with automotive, I would probably do things a little differently.
Yeah.
um but honestly, like any woman in automotive, you have to have very thick skin and you have to be very confident,
Yeah.
because it's definitely a male dominated industry.
Mm-hmm.
We all run into it. And
Yeah.
if you've made it even a couple of months, good job.
Yeah. Well, and find your group. I found
Mm-hmm.
you, Melissa, um,
Love
other
her.
women. Yeah. You know, just find your group of people.
Mm-hmm.
And,
And
even
that's
if they're like a country away from you, you can still message and be like, hey, we just did this.
100%. The
Yeah.
person I talk to probably the most um is Mike's wife, Amy. They have a custody battle over me. That is like my mom and dad of off-roading.
Yeah.
The first time I went to Texas, I was with Mike. The second time I was with Amy. The third time I was with Amy. Was there a fourth time in Texas? There was like the all of mine have been dealer things, and then I went to the first like ladies' day,
Mm-hmm.
and it was funny because then the third time I went, I like was with Amy because it was like the ladies' day,
Yeah.
and
Um, Speaking of Ladies' Day, I really think that they need to do a dealer Women's Day.
yes,
Like, please, I need that. I
I
want
beg
that.
you,
Please. Like,
make it happen.
dealer day, but for women. We don't have the men. Just, I want to meet more women that are in our community
Oh, 100%. Because I feel like
while
being
off roading.
I'm just having the best time. Because that's the
Yeah.
thing. Like the first ladies' day, it was so fun. Which actually super funny. Kelly was there.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly knew of me. I knew of Kelly.
Yeah.
We have footage of us like within feet of each other. I didn't acknowledge each other once.
Yeah.
Not once. So like that's like the revolving joke. Because then they came up to Woodward, which is a very busy weekend
Yeah.
in August in Michigan. If you know, you know. And Dave is doing a live, and they passed my Bronco. I was in front of the Bronco, or I at least was with Bronco Nation, because I'm very heavily involved with Bronco Nation too.
Yeah.
And again, we just never acknowledge each other. Which and now I help them on their show. So I think it's
Yeah.
just really funny how it like all has
I've
circled
had
back around.
I've had moments like that where I'm just like, I'm pretty sure I saw you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Jill. I don't know how to say her last name. Um, Starts with a C.
But I know of her
She's
for
with
so.
Tim on trucks and SUV
Oh
talks.
yeah, because she did Rebel Rally.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
she we went to the Bronco Sport embargoed event And of course, they gave us these specific hats. Like when you go to those, they give you a little swag gift or something, and they had Bronco hats that they don't have out that you can purchase.
Oh,
And
so
we get on
jealous.
the plane to head home from Tennessee, and there's a lady wearing the exact same hat that I'm currently wearing
It's like,
from that
come
event.
on
I'm
now.
like, I walk past, I go, I like your hat. And she's like, I like yours. And we just had that kind of moment.
That's so
Um,
cute.
and now I'm going to interview her for this.
Oh, stop.
So,
Okay, that's so
yeah,
exciting.
it's
Because
just, well, and I'm ready to make the joke. I'll, I'll save it for the,
yeah, save
for
it,
the,
save it for the episode.
because it's going to be funny. Anyways, so, um, yeah, but it's great to hear from you
I know.
and
Great talking to
your
you. This
side
has
of
been
things.
awesome.
Because you have the sales sides of things in a
Yes.
dealership. I'm from marketing. I talk to customers and get, feedback from them and help them with product questions.
Yeah.
I'm more Maverick than Bronco, but
Okay.
I'm
Well, we,
still
we need someone
Bronco.
for every vehicle lineup. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
do. I mean,
yes.
and that's the thing. Like, you have some of the guys that are like great with
Well, do
super
you?
duties and
Yeah,
expeditions, and like we have some of our older sales guys like they sell like 1.5 million escapes, like
yeah.
all of the things. It's
Well,
like,
and I'll have so many of the salesmen come over and go, "So, what's this on the Maverick?" And I'm like, "Let me tell you. Let me educate you. We got
let's
this."
get started. Well,
Yeah.
I have a sales guy who's a little bit older,
Mm.
and I hear him on the phone all day. I sit right across from him, and like I just hear him talking about Bronco. And he's so he not that he's like wrong about it. He's kind of wrong about it. But I just like stop and I'm like, I can literally in 2 seconds tell you exactly what Bronco they need to be on by 2 words that you said.
Right? Yeah.
I don't try to
Yeah.
be that
We
salesperson, but
have
I'm
one
just
that's
like,
like we have one that tripped me up. He was like, "Hey, on Bronco, can you get painted hardtop?" I was like, "No." Or body colored
yeah.
hardtop. Can you get it? I'm like, "No." And he comes back, he's like, "Yes, you can." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like I literally had this question in the live stream and he goes, "Raptor." I'm like, "Okay, but you didn't say it was on a Raptor."
You didn't say that. Or what you could have done. Well, now they have like the black appearance package
Yes.
on it. You can be
Well,
like,
here's the
oh,
thing.
you can get body colored if you get black.
They got a Bronco Raptor in black. And I'm just like, stop. Stop. You
Knock
tripped
it
me
off.
up.
I mean, it
Yep.
took them so long just to get the black painted ones to us. Like we were
Yeah.
supposed to have that year 1 or 2. We're on year 5.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a whole thing.
It's a thing.
Bronco's a whole
Okay.
thing. Well, thank you so much for joining me and sharing your story.
Yeah,
Um, and hopefully encouraging other women to join us in this community.
absolutely.
So,
Feel free to
yeah.
always reach out.
Yeah, and if you want to see more of Aly, she is on All Terrain Nation. She helps co-host their show. So, yeah.
And then just my Instagram and YouTube are just my name.
All right. It's right there at
Right
Aly.
there.
There we go. All right. Well, have a wonderful day. I'm going to close this out. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for another week of All Women Driven, where we are going into women's stories to drive. I totally just messed that up. Where we look at women's journeys in the past to drive women forward into the future of automotive. Have a wonderful week. See you next time.